Hi, I'm Jeff Brazil with the online programs from the University of Arkansas. In this recorded webinar, you will hear Doctor Jim Maddox from the College of Education and Health Professions talk about the Masters in Human Resource Development. Great stuff. And remember, go Hogs.
We're talking about the Master of Human Resource Development put on by the College of Education and Health Professions. We have Dr. Jim Maddox with us. He's a teaching associate professor of Human Resource Development from the College of Education and Health Professions. I'll give him some time to talk here in a little bit, and then we'll have a Q&A session at the end. So I encourage you to kind of pick his brain and get any of your questions answered today. If you have something come up later, his contact information is here, and you'll be able to send him an email if you'd like and get your questions answered, get that information. Some of the key points we're going to be going over today, we'll just take a look at the programs, like an overview of the program itself. And then we'll go over the benefits of online education, distance education, as well as the admissions process. And then kind of some of the global campus, our side of it, we'll put on kind of like how we do things, how distance education works. And then some of the resources that are available to you as a distance learning student, and then the cost of attendance, as well as some of the scholarships and financial aid that are available to you to help offset the cost. So first of all, this is a 100% online program, and Dr. Maddox, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is done completely asynchronously as well, meaning you don't have to log in at a specific time at any point throughout the semester. They do run on semester basis, but yeah, so it's a 100% online, meaning there will be deadlines, but you can kind of schedule them around, if you're working full time. So you'll be able to kind of schedule your workload throughout your week. And then this is a 30 credit hour program, which is estimated at full time to take about 2 years. And there's no entrance exam, so a GRE is not required to get into this program. It's also a non-thesis program as well. So really, this human resource development program is here to equip you with the skills to design and manage programs within an organization. So the pillars of these programs are training and development, organizational development, and career development. And it's really kind of preparing you for a leadership role and how to increase individual productivity and retain talent within an organization. The requirements to get entry to gain admission into this program is a minimum of a 3.0 GPA on the last 60 credit hours of a bachelor's degree. And then as well as you'll need to complete a capstone or comprehensive exam in the final semester of the program. And you'll need a cumulative GPA of 3.0 or higher for the graduation from this program. And then any credits that you transfer in cannot exceed 6 hours. So I'll go ahead and take this time to allow Dr. Maddox to speak and maybe correct anything that I got wrong, or just introduce himself and talk about the program from his perspective.
Thanks, Will. Welcome to this webinar, and feel free to ask questions as I'm going along. Or if you want to write them down. And so I'll talk a little bit about the capstone experience. So as Will mentioned, I'm a teaching associate professor at the University of Arkansas, but I'm also the program coordinator for the master's and doc program. So I get to kind of wear both hats. And so the capstone experience / comprehensive exam, I oversee that. And so students have 3 options for that requirement. One is they can do a portfolio. I would say probably 80% of the students pick the portfolio. And so it's putting together kind of what you did through the program, identifying kind of the learning that you achieved and kind of how you met the program competencies. And so, and it's a great tool then for to carry forward job hunting. So most students pick the portfolio. The other option is to do a an HRD project, kind of an actual hands-on experience. So I've had a number of students that like developed a training course or did a needs assessment for their organization. And so that's kind of a hands-on project. And then the third option is a comprehensive exam. And some students choose that option. I kind of still scratch my head on why students choose that, but that's part of the flexibility is students can kind of pick how they demonstrate that they've achieved the competencies from the program. In terms of the transfer credit, you can transfer in up to 6 hours of graduate program credit from another graduate program. They just need to match up with one of the courses in the program. So probably the one that happens the most frequently is if you've had a research methods class somewhere else, and then that's fairly close. But like if you've had like a food safety class, that really doesn't match up with one of the HRD courses. But if you've had a strategy class somewhere else, then that might match up. So, but it can be up to 6 hours. And so the key is we just look for that it matches one of the courses in the program. Like I said, students typically take 2 years to complete the program. Our classes are 8 weeks during the semester, and then 5 weeks in the summer, with the exception of our research methods course, which is semester long. It's 15 weeks during the semester or 10 in the summer. And so, like I said, typically students take 2 courses a semester and finish in 2 years. And so it is asynchronous. So you'll typically have weekly assignments that have due dates, but there's not any time that you have to, be live in front of your camera, and there's no time that you have to come to campus. And so, although coming to campus for graduation is an awesome experience, and then coming to campus later to see your name carved in the sidewalk in our senior walk is really powerful. But there are opportunities to interact in real time, but they're completely optional. So I have what I call optional live chats like this via Zoom. And so it's a chance to share content, to interact with students in the program, chance for you to interact with each other and network. I hold those in the classes I teach, but I also hold them just monthly for just undergrad, master's, doc students, what I call community live chat. So just kind of building a community of practice. And so my area of focus, although I've done things in all 3 pillars of the program, training and development, career development, organization development, my background is primarily in the organization development side. I have had a number of consulting projects of developing and delivering customized training for companies, developing curriculum, helping do assessments. But my passion really is around organization development and kind of strategy. And so I love talking about this. So even if you decide not to come into the program, connect with me on LinkedIn. And I love networking with people and just helping people grow their careers. And so, if you find me on LinkedIn, you can also follow I have a podcast that I share with the students and share with the LinkedIn audience. So the podcast is out there. It's called very creatively titled Chatting About Change with Dr. Jim Maddox. I have a number of guests on there. I think I have like 70 something episodes. I lost track. And then I also have a blog that I write periodically. It's fairly consistent during the school year. During the summer, I kind of take a break from it. But a lot of those blogs are also on my LinkedIn under articles. So just feel free to find out more kind of about the program and my background just by checking those out. And that one is very creatively titled Friday Food for Thought because I release it on Friday. So highly creative titles for my blog and my podcast. And so very, very descriptive of what they are. And so, I'm a passionate about the field. I'm passionate about education. It's what keeps me coming back every year is being able to, just like a couple weeks ago at graduation, watching students cross the stage and achieve that goal. That's like my bonus. That's my job bonus is seeing students graduate and meeting their families. One of the coolest things is to sit there, particularly with our grad students, and is with older adults that have been in their career a while, and you see them cross the stage and you hear somebody yell, "Way to go, mom," or "Way to go, dad," that's really cool. And so that I love that aspect of teaching. So as you can tell, I love talking about this. So I'll turn it back over to Will and Jeff.
One of the big benefits of online learning distance education is the flexibility of it. As Dr. Maddox said, there's no specific time that you have to log in. A lot of professors will put on kind of like these weekly sessions where they're optional usually, but you can talk with them and kind of network with them. And so that's a great opportunity, but you don't have to, it's not required. So you're able to kind of work in your school schedule wherever you can. And we really think that our motto, "Find your place from any place," really summarizes that you, from anywhere in the world, you can still, work towards a better life or get your first degree, get another degree, anything that really, suits your goals in life. And then another thing is affordability. So no matter where you live in the world, you pay in-state tuition for this degree as well as all of our others. And then on top of that, there's a really great support network that the university has worked really hard to build. And then from the global campus staff side, we have a lot of dedicated staff here to kind of help support that journey. So we have our online student liaisons that they are there to answer any questions that you might have or point you in the right direction and make sure you get on track and stay on track throughout your entire educational journey and beyond. But then why the University of Arkansas? Well, the university has a reputation for excellence, so we're a top public research institution that is accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. And I think that top public research institution is really reflected in the programs. You see that whenever you look at the U.S. News and World Reports, that even the online programs are ranked consistently every year, both or across all of the colleges, really, but the College of Education and Health Professions has continued to climb in that number. Out of 1,800 programs in 2023, the College of Education and Health Professions, COHEP, was rated 35 out of those 1,800 programs, which is really amazing. We're really proud to see that. A lot of that is owing to the faculty, like Dr. Maddox, like he said, he's really, really passionate about it. And I think you'll find that with most of the faculty, they're just so passionate about the knowledge, about, the things that they're teaching, and you'll get that in your classes, which is really awesome to see, and to see not just, for education, but the applicability of it. You'll get knowledge that you can use in the real world and in your career, and be able to advance your career, and then use the networking and services that are available from the university to be able to network and continue down your career path, your education journey as well. So a brief overview of the admissions process. You start by applying to the graduate school. You'll pay an application fee at that time, submit any transcripts, and I encourage everybody to check their status right off the bat once they get that done. That way you can make sure everything is uploaded properly and that there's no other documents that are required. Then depending on how long it takes for the approval process, Dr. Maddox might be able to go into that a little bit more, but you'll receive an email at a later date that there's been a decision made, and you'll be able to check your status again and see whether or not that you've been accepted. So as an online student, the learning management system that we use is Blackboard, and it's kind of like your virtual classroom. So you'll be able to see all of the courses that you're currently taking. You have the opportunity to interact with your professors here, as well as interact with other students. This is going to be the space where all of the information you're going to need for your classes is. So all of your assignments, your due dates, you'll be able to check your grades here. You'll likely be participating in discussions through this. So discussion boards and projects and things like that will all be here. There are also support services that are built directly into this. So if there's any tech issues that kind of come up whenever you're interacting with your classes, you can get on like a live chat with tech experts, and they can kind of help you figure out any issues. But hopefully you don't run into anything. So And then from our side, from the global campus, as I said, we have several resources that we have built and dedicated staff that work to make sure that you get on track and stay on track. So as I mentioned, the liaisons, the online student liaisons are a really, really awesome resource for if you have any questions. They work 6 days a week, and I believe from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on most of those days, they're there to answer your questions, figure out who you need to talk to, get you set up with advisors or anything like that. That QR code there actually leads to the liaisons page. So if you have any questions, you want to get some info, feel free to scan that and talk with them. We also have coaches, which are kind of like your own personal cheerleader. They're there to, make sure that you're giving it your best and to kind of help bring out the best in you. So you can chat with them and they kind of make sure you're staying on track. And then another two systems that we've built are an online student union, which is a place where you can kind of interact with other students, maybe exchange study tips, things like that. It functions similar to an on-campus student union, so you'd be able to go and talk with people there. You can do the same thing online as well. And then lastly, to make sure you get kind of set out on the right foot, we have an online orientation set up every semester. So before classes start, you'll have the opportunity to participate in the Blackboard Learn system and do kind of like a mock class where you go through assignments and you get them uploaded and you're able to really familiarize yourself with that system before grades start counting towards your GPA. So I encourage everybody to take advantage of that. And then the estimated cost of attendance for this master's degree is $446.29 per credit hour, as well as those fees there to the right. As I said, it's really awesome that you can pay in-state tuition no matter where you live. So I believe this is a really competitively priced when you look at other institutions across the country, and it doesn't matter where you live, you're going to pay the same amount. So that's really great. And then to help offset that cost, we have several scholarships that are set up. So for online students, we have the W.E. Manning Memorial Scholarship, which you can apply to. And I believe that's about $1,000 per semester if you are awarded that. And then if you are an Arkansas resident, there are several things that scholarships that are available to you as well, such as the Academic Challenge Scholarship and the Future Grant. And then you may be able to speak with the College of Education and Health Professions. They probably have different scholarships that are available then. I know several institutions, colleges within the university have other scholarships that they don't necessarily publish, so maybe reach out to them and see what they have available. We encourage everybody to fill out the FAFSA. That way you can find out if you qualify for any grants, such as the federal Pell Grant. And then you can also take out loans there if you need to, but those would have to be repaid. And then lastly, if you have served in the military, you have the option to use your post 9/11 GI Bill or Montgomery GI Bill for online, just the same as you would on campus. And then if you are working, we encourage you to reach out to your employer and see if they do any tuition reimbursement. And if you have any questions about financial aid, the financial aid office can be reached at that QR code. That's their webpage, or the URL is there, and you can ask them any questions and they can answer those for you. So yeah, I think that this quote really, really summarizes like the leadership aspect of it, that if you're wanting to move into a leadership role within HR, that this degree, this program is built really to give you that skill set, to equip you with the ability to move into that leadership role and, develop the organizational policies and things like that. So feel free to scan that and read some more of the stories that we have on our site. And then if you have any questions or just want to learn more, here's the contact information. So on the left, there is the undergraduate program coordinator and the advisor for the undergraduate programs there on the left. The right is Dr. Maddox and Sandra Ward, who are the graduate program coordinators and coordinator of graduate student services. So any questions you might have, you can reach out to them and get those answered. And now I'll turn it over for the Q&A section.
I'll start out by responding to Nina's question in the chat. Um, and says, I'm a graduate of the HRWD program. Is the master's in HRD a continuation of that, or has it been renamed? It has been renamed. So at the undergraduate and the master's and the doc program, the HRWD has been shortened to HRD. So still very similar. It just shortening the title so it reflects human resource development. The workforce piece was always a little confusing, and workforce is really, well, that's a critical part of the field. We really don't have much specifics to that in the program. So like, particularly if you're getting a degree in workforce development, there's going to be classes like on policy and like working with government entities and like large grants and things like that. And that's really not the focus of the program. And so, and that really, the workforce part, it just was historically part of the program when it was connected to our adult and lifelong learning. And so when those kind of split and we had a separate program in adult and lifelong learning, which is a great program, and then we had the HRWD, really was specifically on HRD, but it still had the workforce in the title. And so, so it's still the same program. It's just it's a shortened title now. But great question.
Thank you. And this may be a follow-up for Jeff and Will, I'm not sure. And I may have missed it because I came in a little bit late. Is there a timeline or a calendar of deadlines for applications to these various, to the program and for the scholarships and financial aid and all that?
For the scholarships, there'll be just different deadlines throughout the year. Like a lot of for the W.E. Manning scholarship, I know that's February 5th, somewhere in there for that one. But for some of the others, it just depends on, I would say it's probably usually May for the upcoming year, so that they could go through those different scholarships on that one.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
And I just wanted to say, as to wrap my contribution up, that I did go through the bachelor's degree program under Dr. Maddox and Dr. Samuels while working for the university, and it was just one of the best decisions I could have made. And Dr. Maddox especially is one of the most accessible instructors that I've ever had. And I will carry what I've learned throughout the rest of my career.
That's awesome. That's great to hear.
I did want to add in the application deadlines for the application of the program. For the spring semester is December 1st, and for the fall semester is August 1st.
And those have been expanded. That was one of the changes that I requested about a year ago. It was much longer lead time, and it was like we really don't need that long a lead time, and it just gave people ability to apply and start the program sooner, as opposed to, it used to be that the deadline was like March or April or I think it was March for the fall, and so I'm not sure kind of why that was, but yeah, so we've extended that. So if you applied before to a program and you're like, well, that's different now. So yes, we've extended the time for that. And thank you for that nice plug there, Nina. And I promise she's not a plant.
I am not. I truly mean what I said.
Just to follow up, Helen asked in the chat if you needed a doctorate or a master's degree to pursue the doctorate, and yes, I know some doctoral degrees you can go right from undergrad right into the doctoral program. Ours, you need a master's degree to join the program or to be admitted. It doesn't have to be in HRD, and it doesn't have to be in a related field. We have people that come into the doctoral program with master's degrees from across the board. But we do have students that come in and do their master's degree and then apply and go right into to the doctoral degree. And so it's a fairly, you still have to apply, but it's it can be a pretty seamless transition. And so, but yeah, and just looking ahead to that, we have a doctoral webinar hosted by Jeff and Will again. It'll be next Thursday, the same time at noon. Is that correct, Jeff and Will?
That's correct.
And I'll be here again for that.
Yeah, we're excited for that. Does anybody have any more questions that they'd like to talk to Dr. Maddox about or ask Will or myself about? If not, I don't see anything in the chat, but we're very thankful that you decided to join us today everybody's really busy, but we're very thankful that you joined us today. And I can confirm just how genuine Dr. Maddox is. I've got to know him the last couple months in their program and getting close to their program. And they were at our graduate reception for our graduates. And I know that he's 100% invested in his students. So we want to thank you for joining us today, Dr. Maddox. I want to thank everybody that attended, the participants. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on the contacts that Will listed earlier. We're very thankful for you joining us, and we hope to see you as the Arkansas Razorback someday. So thanks for coming today.